We are live. Welcome everybody to the Funny Shrink podcast. I'm here with my lovely co-host Frank King. He hasn't eaten for 30 days and 30 nights.
That's not true. 40 hours. 40 hours.
It might as well be 30 days and 30 nights. Damn, 40 hours. You know, I'm thinking of doing what you're doing because I started eating my feelings last week and they are delicious. My feelings taste like chocolate cake and ice cream.
Hey, man, there's a reason they call it comfort food, Mike.
Oh my God, yeah. So how you been?
I've been good. I had an audition for TEDx in Wisconsin on, I think, Wednesday. They had 350 applications.
Okay.
They picked 40. And I'm auditioning the mental health and the orgasm, treat your depression single-handedly.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You know why they call an orgasm, Mike?
Why?
Because nobody could spell.
I love that. I heard that joke before.
Yeah, my wife hates it.
Really? Because that's what she looks like?
It's going to kill. Let's see. So I got a good shot at that. I think got a virtual book for July, college. Nothing for August except a showcase networking thing. September, yeah, it's coming along. How about you?
I got a show next Friday, 2 Fridays from now. In-person show, and then I have a couple set up for August, and I gotta keep on working to get more. So we'll see. Comedy's coming back, speaking's coming back. So I'm excited for our guest. I've known him forever. He is a funny guy. Tom Nemec. He is a teacher now. He went back to school and got his teaching degree. He's hilarious. I used to work with him on the Bill Michaels comedy shows we used to do. And I just noticed he walked away from his screen. So, and he's back. All right, let's bring him on, everybody. Tom Nemec.
Tom! Yeah, and I'm Superman. I'm super. That's why I went away from the screen and back so fast. I ran to get my my most current credential, my diploma for my master's degree that I just got.
Awesome! Congratulations.
I'm an educator. I'm an educator.
You know,
have I been funny yet?
What?
Have I been funny yet?
Just looking at you, I'm laughing.
All right.
You know, I never like framed any of my diplomas, but when I was in 2001, I won amateur night at the Apollo, and I framed that. I never framed my diploma, but I framed my award letter from amateur night at the Apollo.
Oh, nice.
Shows you what priorities are.
Well, I have intentions of framing this. I have frames. I have a space on the wall, and I have nails, but I don't think it's ever going to make it into a frame because that's the kind of person I am. It'll sit on my kitchen counter, and it'll be stained in another couple of months.
Well, that tells it's been a well-lived degree.
That's true.
Well earned. So, you got a lot going on. You're putting together a one-man show?
Yeah, I'm not putting it together. I'm still writing it. It's halfway done. I guess that's putting it together. Yeah.
Cool. Tell us about it.
It's I feel like I have to preface with, let me think. It's about my life, basically. Growing up with an alcoholic parents. And it's something I put off for years because every once in a while I would think, nobody wants to hear this. You know, even in my 30s, nobody wants to hear what it's like growing up with an alcoholic parent. But the more that I grow as a person, the more I realize it's important to talk about it because a lot of people don't realize what growing up with an alcoholic or dysfunctional parents really do to a child. And there's a lot of people who think like, oh, you don't need to look at your childhood, but you do. And being an educator now and having my degrees, I learned that, well, for example, 90% of the brain's architecture is developed in the first 6 years of your life.
Wow.
So if it's like computer, garbage in, garbage out. What you put in, you get out. And you could change it, but a lot of people think that change just comes with age. Like, how many times they tell people, you're a grown up now, you got to stop doing that. Even when you're a teenager, you're in high school now, you have to be responsible. It's like, no, you can't just tell a kid that they have to do this. Someone needs to teach them how to do it. And if they have a history of everything that's opposite of what you're trying to teach them or help them learn, or somebody's trying to learn, it's going to be more of a struggle because their brain is programmed to think differently or behave differently.
So, welcome back, Frank.
Yeah, all of a sudden I couldn't hear you guys, so I had to go back out, come back in.
So do I need to call you Professor Tom or Mr.
No. I'm just a teacher. No, I'm not into that. Like, I don't have a PhD, it's a master's, but I'm not into like when people get master's degree, PhDs, and they have people call them doctor.
I work as a psychotherapist, and like people have come into my office and called me Dr. Cateo.
I've done it.
I'm not a doctor, but thanks for the upgrade.
Yeah, I've done it when I've called therapists, when I called social workers, and then they're like, no, you could just call me John or whatever, whatever their name is.
Just call me D-Bag. That's my nickname.
D-Bag?
I'm joking.
Right. What's with the self-flagellation? Is that the right word?
I haven't flatulated in a couple of hours, but
flagellation. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
going to get my clipboard and my notebook because I'm going to become your therapist now. Okay, so you put yourself down 3 times already. What's that about, Michael?
I hate myself.
Join the club, my friend.
So, what was life like growing up with an alcoholic parent?
I was going to show you, but I don't know how it'll come across on the camera. On this. I was just going to like throw things around and run around and scream and yell. It was chaotic. It took me many years to realize that it was like living in a war zone. I had a therapist years ago who pointed that out and said, this is post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm like, well, it's, no, my father was an alcoholic. And he said, no, I'm telling you, this is what you're describing is like you've been through a war. It was crazy. Every night, my father, I don't have any joke on the tip of my tongue right now because, to be honest, I just woke up a half an hour ago and I feel like I'm still asleep. It was just chaotic and crazy. I was the youngest, so I got forgotten kind of. Didn't get the nurturing that a human being needs to grow into a strong, confident person. And again, with that brain development, if you grow up like that, you have a hard time moving along in life. It's not just like, oh, you're an adult now you need to do this. You have what people might call issues. So that's what it was like. It was just crazy and
I
loud.
like the air quotes around the issues.
Yes. Yeah, because that's some people are like, oh, there are issues. A lot of people are a lot of people are in denial that their childhood affects their adulthood.
Yeah.
They don't want to look at it.
As someone who studied human behavior, I believe everything goes back to childhood. Like it's all of our stuff, all of our problems, all of our good shit too. It all goes back to childhood.
Yeah, it does. I mean, just what I was saying before about those brain studies that they do. There's a really interesting one that we had to watch. It was only 2 minutes. It's called the still face experiment. It's on YouTube, and there's an infant, and the doctor has the therapist or whatever he is, psychologist, whatever, has the parent interact with the kid, and he's narrating about what the child is going through, and then he has the mother pull back and just stand there with a blank expression on the face, and then you can see the child going through all of these different emotions, and the doctor is explaining what the child is going through again, and while the child is going through this, it's an infant, so it's growing, so its neurological connections are building, and the doctor says this is just for a few seconds. Imagine months or years of going through something like this,
Yeah.
what that does to a child, and then what that does to a person as they're growing up. And thank God for neuroplasticity, because now I learned, as you get older, or when you get older, or as you grow, you can change it, but you need to be in the right environment. You don't want to have a lot of what I always call, again with the quotes, well-meaning friends. Right. I always joke about well-meaning friends. They're the kind of people who are like, oh yeah, I really want to lose some weight. And no, but you're doing good. Everyone needs to eat cake and everyone needs to have ice cream sometimes. And you don't want to run too much because you can hurt your knees. And those are the kind of friends that want to. They don't realize they don't want to. I don't know if they don't want to, but they don't seem to know how to support you and say that's great. Instead they just kind of keep you back.
They keep you down by being well-intentioned.
Yep.
Guys, am I the only one hearing all that static?
Yeah, all we hear is crackle.
Yeah, I thought you were eating chips.
It's like your Rice Krispies.
Now you're muted.
Yeah, but I muted myself and I still heard it, so.
No, we don't hear it once you're muted.
Is the ceiling of that Toyota button tuft?
Yeah.
Is the ceiling of the Toyota button tuft? It looks like it is. It looks custom, is it?
No.
Oh, all right. I see little lines in it.
I'm shocked you have a car from 1984, Frank.
Well, and I got pulled over leaving the gym one day, and the cop came up to my car and said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I said, "No." He said, "You have 2 license plates on the back. My father-in-law left us this car, and I couldn't get the old plate off. It's rusted onto the car, so I just put the new order plate on top of it." You see the outline of the old one. I go, "What's that? What does that mean?" He goes, "Well, one plate over another, Frank, means maybe stolen." I said, "Dude, how low would my self-esteem have to be to steal an 84 Tercel?" And besides, we both know the jail time's the same for a Beamer. Now he's laughing. So, and then he had the balls to ask me, "Do you have any paperwork on this?" Because it's an 84, I wouldn't have license, registration, and insurance. Come on.
So what? Are you ever going to get rid of this car?
Never. It's our 3rd car. On Friday, I'm driving 2000 RAV4. We got 21 years ago. And also the oil light comes on, check engine light comes on, and it goes silent running at 55 miles an hour on the highway. So I was able to, kind of slide off onto the shoulder. So I'm thinking alternator or timing belt, one of the two. So this is our spare car.
God, you are not afraid of commitment. That is for sure.
Well, and notice all the glass, guys. Nowadays cars don't have as much glass. So there's no safety equipment except the seatbelt and the shoulder harness. In the back seat, there aren't any shoulder harnesses. So what I tell people is, look, it's like a tin can lined with vinyl. There's not a safety item besides the seatbelt in this thing. However, there's so much glass that I'm not going to get killed because I did see something coming.
We got a question from the audience. How many miles does the car have on it?
210,723.
Nice.
That's not bad.
Well, Tom will tell you if he's been driving Toyotas a long time.
Yeah.
If you change the oil every 5,000 miles or so, and you change the timing belt or timing chain, in this case, every 60,000 miles, it'll run forever.
Yeah, I have a Corolla now, 2011.
Does it, once it goes past the speedometer, does it start over at 0? Is that what you're saying? Because I can't imagine a car that old only having 210,000 miles.
Well, my father-in-law was retired, so he only
Oh.
went to town once a week. You know, like the old lady, she only drove to church on Sundays. So, yeah, it's got no air conditioning. It has no power steering. Oh, you know the best part of it? It's a 5-speed. I love shifting gears.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a big gulp the other day, and I realized I can shift gears, drive, and drink a big gulp at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And if the battery goes dead, I don't need jumper cables. I just need a friend to push. So I can pop the clutch and start it, which most millennials, I'm sure, is like cracking a safe, trying to figure that out. There was a guy on one of those, in a news story recently. He was running from the cops. He jumped in the car. The keys were in it. He tries to crank it. He realizes it's a 5-speed. He has no idea how to drive it. They caught it.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm only good at crashing cars.
Oh, they're fun. My Toyotas were a stick also. Not my one I have now, but my other ones were.
I would never be able to drive a stick. You need 2 hands for that.
I like the multitasking, though. You reminded me when my mother had a Toyota Tercel also. I think she got it in like 82, and I learned to drive in 83 or 84. And I remember out with my friends one night, smoking a joint, eating cookies or chips or something, and driving at the same time. And they were very impressed by me. And I was just like, what? You know, I know how to drive. Once you get in the zone, I just didn't like hills in the stick shift. It just scared me for some reason. I don't know why. I always was afraid I was going to roll backwards. And I didn't like to sit on the clutch in the hill.
In college, I delivered pizzas in a 3-speed Chevette. And because it wasn't my car, I learned how to speed shift. No clutch.
Oh, nice.
That is crazy.
Well, you get it up to a certain RPM, Mike, and you push on it a little bit and it just slides into the next gear.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of hear it, or you can even match it by the speedometer.
Since we're talking about cars, you know, I don't know cars really well, and I never thought I would be able to have a driver's license at all. So I'm shocked they let me on the road still. I'm not that good at it.
Not near shocked as we are, Mike.
Do you know Sasha Guillaume?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah, so I ran into Sasha at a funeral, you know, because that's how we do now.
Oh,
and
who died?
Sharon Simon's dad.
Oh.
So we were talking. He's like, I said, I'm a really bad driver. He's like, so I'll leave first. I'm like, okay.
So wait, Sharon Simon's dad died, and Comics networked at her funeral, basically.
Yeah.
Because so, I doubt you and Sasha were buddies with her dad. Did he run an open mic, or did he have a ringer show? Because
we used to hang out and sit other shivas together.
All right.
No, I never met her dad, but Sharon is a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She married me last year in October.
Really? You divorced her already?
No, she didn't marry me. She performed the ceremony.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood you.
Yeah, she performed the ceremony. Look, I'm still married.
I know. That's great.
Yeah. It's
we just did we were just on one of the scenes, and Todd Monacy's awesome PN and friends. Me and her, not me and her, but she was there. We were all
right.
We were characters in the Zoom thing. It was pretty fun.
I did a PN and friends when it was still being filmed outside.
Oh, nice.
It was fun, yeah.
I didn't watch all of them, but my favorite scene is one that he did It was some kind of I can't remember the exact scenario, but he was referencing comics and open mics outdoors, and he was in a park, and all of a sudden, all of these comics converged in one area, and they all had microphones, and they were all doing, like a set into the microphone, and it was probably 20 or 30 comics. That's coming in and surrounding him in the scene. It was really funny, but they were all in their own little show,
Todd is really talented.
He is. I'm proud of him. I emailed him a few times and I was like, keep this going, keep doing it. Like it's in the doing. We all know that.
Did you ever hear like I beat him at arm wrestling?
No.
Like, yeah. So when we were both doing open mics, he was hosting one night and we were doing this banter off stage, and I go, okay, here's what we'll do. I'll get off. You say something to me, I'll say something to you, then I'll get off and go sit in the audience. He goes, I bet I could beat you in an arm wrestle. I'm like, oh, buddy, you are wrong there. And we arm wrestled right there in the Village Lantern.
Wow.
Fun
this
time.
Is great. This is great, but none of this has anything to do with me.
No, I'm sorry. Let's get back to you.
Tom.
Crack me up, man. I'm sorry. I'm just being a comedian.
No,
I'm doing my shtick. I'm doing my act, baby. I'm doing my routine.
Where did you start and how did you start stand up?
I couldn't hear you.
Where'd you start and how did you start stand up?
Oh, how did I start? It's something I wanted to do since I was a little kid. I was turned on to George Carlin, and I guess growing up in a dysfunctional family, I heard a lot of truth in Carlin. I heard his voice, and I was the performer. I was the entertainer in the family. That was my role, to stop the fighting. I started going to open mics. I don't know. In 1990, I stopped drinking, and I went once or twice before I stopped drinking. I remember this bar I hung out in, Lyndhurst, where I grew up. I remember telling people, I want to be a comedian. I want to be a comedian someday. Because I had no my mother didn't know how to support me to follow through with things. So I wasn't a follow througher. I quit everything when I was younger. Even when I was older, I quit many things. I had listed how many jobs I had in my life. I had 175 jobs, believe it or not. A couple of years ago, I was up in Hackensack with a friend on Route 4, and we went to a Fridays, and I sat down, and I got up, and I said, I'll be right back. And I walked right back out the back door, and I came back in, and I was like, I worked here for 2 days years ago. And then I worked at the Ground Round across the street from where Fridays was in Hackensack. I worked all over the place. So it was something I wanted to do. I just always wanted to do it. And then I got sober and I started going. And I started going to open mics in North Jersey. And I started going to, I don't think I started going to Rascals then. And one night I went to the city and I walked past the cellar and Rick Chrome was hanging out. And he had a sign out for the late night comedy jam. And I said, how do I get in these comedy clubs? I was very motivated. Mm-hmm. This is important because where I ended up in my life and where I am again now. So I was very motivated, and he let me do a set, and I started getting 3 or 4 spots a week late night at the cellar. It was the late night comedy jam. There was a lot of us there. Judah, Rick Shapiro, Greg Giraldo, Gaffigan. We were all the comics running around doing late night comedy jam. So that was great. Then I got into a relationship, and she was very I don't know what you call it. Oh God, she was an asshole. It's the best way I could describe it. So I would be at her house, and I'd say, I gotta go. I gotta, my spot's at 12:30. I gotta get there. 12:30 a.m. And she'd say, oh well, all right, you gotta go. Fine, go. Okay. So little by little, over those first few years of my comedy, I started pulling back more and more, and then I stagnated for many, many years.
Yeah.
But I would still go to open mics, but just not enough. And I knew as a youngster that you needed to get on every night and as many times a night. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm not using this as an excuse, but I always say that I've been alone my whole life. And people are like, what the hell are you talking about? You've been alone your whole life, but that's how I feel. And I don't feel that much anymore because of the growth I've done with therapy over the last years, and just the stuff I've done in therapy. I've been growing, so I don't feel that lonely, but that's how I was. So back then it was hard going to open mics because I was extremely alone, even though I was around people. So that's how I started. And then, years later I quit because of a relationship and moved out of New York. Like I told you earlier, I moved out of New York and I was like, F you, New York. I lived down the block from the Bay. I wouldn't even go to the Bay during the daytime because it was just so painful. Even though I was working in New York still, it was just too painful to go to the Bay and look at New York, knowing that I lived there. Now that I'm back in New York again, I don't know if this was on when you asked me before, but I moved back to New York last February. And I started working there again as a teacher. Now I go down to the Bay. I love it because now the Bay connects me. It doesn't keep me apart from New York anymore.
Right.
But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was just a self-sabotaging thing. My house was damaged in Hurricane Sandy, and I had a Foot Locker of 15 years of comedy in my Foot Locker. And in hurricanes, people just throw everything out in front of the house when you got your house out. I had 4.5 feet of water in here. Now I'm 10 feet off the ground, but back then I was 2 feet off the ground. So I dragged the Foot Locker in front of the house and threw out all of that crap. It was just crazy. And then I ended up hating comics. I remember telling one comic that I thought it was superficial. She was like, "Do you do comedy anymore?" I'm like, "No, I think it's really superficial. Comedy. You stand up there, you like look at me." And it was just a crazy thing. So now I'm back, and I say this very easily to you guys now, but in the last 5 or 6 years when I was struggling with trying to get back into comedy and figuring all this out and the pain of quitting, it didn't come out that easily. I was very angry and hurt and I did what I did, and now I'm changing it, and I remind myself that every day. I'm doing it again. And I moved back to New York, and now I'm being very, very proactive. I keep telling my friends I didn't move back to New York to go to sleep. I'm not gonna go back there and lay in bed when I don't feel like going to an open mic or working on my material and, making up excuses and doing something else. Cause that's what I did for many years.
Yeah. It's, I did the same thing. Like when I was at the height of making it, I freaked out and stopped performing because it was too much. And just like the girlfriend for you, I didn't have a girlfriend, but I was like, I can't keep on doing this.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened? The girl that I broke up with, the one in 2003 that I loved, and I don't have a copy of it. I mean, I loved her so much. I even made a children's book for her son. And I was going to, we were talking about getting married. And I loved her more than I've loved anybody in my life. Like the depth of love I had for her was the most for anybody I've ever had. We broke up because she knew how important comedy was to me. And at that time I was working a lot and I was out every night and I was away every weekend or one-nighters, but I was out and away. And she came up to Connecticut. It was a great gig in Hartford, the Brownstone, City Steam, I think they call it also.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, and that was a great gig. And her and her son came up on the train and we had a fight. Anyway, she said to me that you're always away and you're out every night. And she knew that to me, that was very hurtful. It doesn't seem like it was hurtful now, but it was very hurtful. And I broke up with her because I swore I was never going to let another person, pull me away like I did with that other girl when I first started comedy.
Yeah. That sucks. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, I appreciate it. No, I'm not looking for, I know it probably sounds like that, but like I've said, I've grown so much. Several years ago, this was really painful and I couldn't make sense of any of it. And now, like I said, I realize what had happened, and I learned a big lesson. Hopefully, if I fall in love again and I get upset, I'm not going to stomp away like a baby and I'm going to talk to them.
Yeah.
But at that time in my life, it was 2003. I still didn't have enough of my own, let's say, positive self-parenting to move forward. If something pissed me off or aggravated me or bothered me, I would just leave it, Like, for example, like right now, if I had a stressful moment doing this, and this was 2003, I would just close the computer. And then I would call you later and say, yeah, I don't know, something happened, man. And I must have had a bad connection. That's how I dealt with things. I'd hang up, walk away, Yeah, I broke up with her. It was the most horrible thing. She wanted to talk, and she had therapy that day. So I knew where she had therapy. She lived in Brooklyn. She had therapy right across the street from Caliente Cab Company. So we met by West 4th, and we walked down Bleecker together. And she wanted to talk. And I said, no, let me talk. So I stretched it out all the way till we got to the end of Bleecker and 7th Avenue. And then I said to her, and I don't want to date you anymore. And I walked away.
Wow.
It was crazy. Yeah. And I left her there. Like, I remember her looking at me like a lost dog, but I felt great because
you had the power.
Well, not the power. No, not like that. Not that I hurt her, but because I was feeling confined, and I get very, like my body just gets compressed when what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it. Committed, like a commitment. And she was, I felt, pressuring me with and using the comedy against me. And that just really hurt, and it scared me. So I wanted to get the hell away from her, because I was like, no, I was really doing it at that time. Like, I was getting better, Yeah. I didn't tell you the first girl, I had slacked so much in comedy. I was doing a gig once in Connecticut, and I was doing comedy 9 years, and the feature shows up, and he says, who's emceeing? And I said, I am. And he's like, come on, stop it, Nemec. What are you talking about? You're emceeing. And I said, no, I'm emceeing. He's like, are you serious? And I said, yeah. And he said, you've been doing this 9 years. I've been doing it 6, and you're still emceeing. You got to get this together. And I was really, really mad at him for years, but he was right.
Yeah.
So that's when I started to grow. And then I met this other woman, and then she does it to me again. And now I'm never dating again. I'm just going to live with my cats for the rest of my life. My cats and my tea.
Frank has solved that problem. He went, he took his girlfriend, and they did a cross-country stand-up tour.
Oh, nice.
Frank, tell him.
2,629 nights in a row, 7 years and change.
That's great. That first girl that I dated, the first one who was like that, comics I didn't even know. From time to time, I would meet them on the road, and she would come with me. She was a hairdresser, and I did like her, We dated for 5 years. That's what an idiot I was. But I just got sober, and I just wanted someone to love, and I did love her in a way, and she loved me, and we had a lot of fun sex, and it was great. But they would tell me, like, dude, look, I don't really know you that well, but when you're not around her, you're like a very animated, fun person. You should get rid of her. People would tell me that. Alonzo Bowden once told me that at Rascals. He doesn't.
Wow.
I haven't seen him in years. I just knew him because we were working together. I don't know if you'd remember, but he told me, he's like, Tom, I think you should get away from her.
Wow.
Yeah. People would tell me that randomly because she was just so, and I would bring her to gig after gig because she wanted to come. I want to come. I remember one time in Pennsylvania, she was like, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What are we going to eat? So I dropped the phone book in her lap. And I said, I'm not your tour guide. This is my work. This is my show. I'm not here on vacation. Uncle Dirty, believe it or not, once told me, he said, what does she do for a living? And I said, she's a hairdresser. He said, ask her if you can come hang out at the salon with her all day. But anyway.
Well, and gentlemen, the woman I went on tour with, we married in '87, and today's the 54th wedding anniversary.
You what? I missed the last part about the wedding anniversary.
Today?
Yeah, today's our wedding anniversary. 30 years, yeah.
Happy anniversary.
That's great.
What are you doing talking with us, Mo?
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. What's
Happy
that old sitcom, isn't it?
She has a real job in health insurance. That's why I'm talking to you schmoes.
In the car. She won't let him in the house and do this. Do that shit outside.
I've had enough of you. I don't know. Your wife does not sound like that. I don't know why. So are you full-time comedy and full-time teaching, or what's the deal?
I'm not full-time comedy yet. I am a full-time teacher, yes. I started going to open mics again, which I'll tell you what, just in the last few months, I finally realized that it's not a punishment for quitting comedy. And I really love and respect open mics. And a couple of years ago, when I started going back to them, some of the guys in North Jersey can tell you, I would get there early. I would sign up first, and then I would leave. I would just leave because I was still torn, because like, I love comedy, but I also want a relationship. And I would think like, I don't know, I don't want to get in this again. Then I'm going to meet someone, and then I'm not going to be, because, when you're doing it, when you're really doing it, it's every night. It's not, it's every night and every weekend and missing holidays. It's a commitment. As Rich Voss used to say many years ago, because he was one of the guys around when I started, this isn't a hobby. This isn't a hobby. That's what he used to tell. This isn't a hobby. It's not a hobby. That's my Voss impression. Not a hobby.
Dead on.
But it's true, So yeah, right now though, I know this sounds really crazy. I'm not a finisher of things. So I was going to show you, but my house was damaged in Hurricane Sandy, and I did a lot of self-repair. I rebuilt the whole thing, and I had some contractors come in and do the electric and things that I couldn't handle. But it's still unfinished. Like just the other day, I put the windowsills on. The windowsills, 2014, my front door windows had the sticker from the manufacturer, and it also had two other stickers from the building inspector stuck. I just scraped them off yesterday. I'm not lying. I took the plastic off the windows that I put in 2014. So anyway, my goal this summer, I was almost going to bang on. I've been doing this a lot lately because I'm so determined. I've been banging a lot. My goal this summer is I'm getting the house done. So I'm cutting down on open mics. Some of my friends are like, oh, this, is this like a way to avoid? No, it's not, because I'll tell you why. It hangs over my head. I'm going to get the house done September. I'm going to hit the ground running. And when I come home here on the weekends, I'm going to walk into my house, and I'm not going to think like, oh, I have to do this. I have to paint. I won't have anything to do here except, pet my cats and take a walk to the beach and regroup. So, and anyway, open mics, I love them. I'm determined. Like I said, I didn't move back into New York to go to sleep. I'm finally back with the same excitement of doing comedy right now that I had when I was in my 20s. And I was scared I wasn't going to get it back. It took me a few years to get it, quite a few years to get it back. Because I was going to open mics on and off for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Right.
My
wife.
Should I time myself when I think I need a spiritual timekeeper when I talk, and you guys have to give me a 1 minute sign. So
no, you're good. You're good.
See that? That was hostile, Frank. Did you see that? For a therapist, imagine talking to him and you're like, I don't know, Mike. I just feel like nobody likes me. And he's like, yeah.
No, you're right.
People really like you a lot. Don't worry about it. You pulled a Trump. I don't know if you saw that video. Trump did that to that astronaut.
No, I didn't.
Look for it. It's very obvious. He makes a face. He gets like angry at her because she contradicts him. And then he goes, It's very clear.
I
Right, so I got a couple laughs.
I can't believe you just compared me to Trump. Thank you.
No, well, in a way I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive much? No, I'm kidding. My wife said the same thing. She's like, when we were dating, she's like, I realized this is what you do, and you go out and do whatever you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but then when I would leave, she would get really depressed, and
I know
I would have to come back to that, and I felt horrible.
That just made my chest tight, because I've been very positive lately about, like, I'm going to meet someone. I'm going to meet someone soon. And then you said that, and I'm like, yeah, that does happen. That's true. But you know what? That's what we have to deal with as human beings.
But she's true to that. She's like, yeah, go out.
Yeah, I believe it.
You want? I won't stop you.
I believe it. And what I was trying to say is also her getting depressed. It makes sense. I would also.
Right.
And it's okay. It doesn't mean she doesn't want you to go. I'm not telling you this as if it's news. I'm just kind of telling myself and reminding myself, it's not that she doesn't want you to go, but that's just a natural feeling. Yeah. I mean, I get sad when I leave my cats. I don't want to go, but I have to leave my cats, and I get sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Cats are good company. I'm allergic. So
all right.
My little girl wants, she's like, can we get a cat and we'll keep it in a cage and he'll be fine? I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, that's so sweet. She would even keep it in a cage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until she sees it in a cage, and then she'll be like, we need to let this
gotta get it out.
Yeah. I thought cats were usually kept in bags, just by the old phrase.
It was great having you on, Tom.
Are we done? Okay.
No, we're not done.
Oh, all right.
But we are wrapping up.
Okay.
It was great catching up. Hopefully I get to see you around.
I hope so too. Let me check my list. I just want to see. All right. I said something profound. I have to check that off. I said something funny. Okay. There's no list. I'm just kidding. That's it.
No, I'm here for the list. Bring it. Tell me.
No, there's no list. That's just that was what my diploma was in, from the University of North Dakota.
Did you go? Did you do it online? Did you
go? Yeah. Because when I started, I've only been teaching 6 years, and when I started, the town that I was working in would pay, but they only gave you $3,800 a year. And Kane, whatever you want to call it, is about $1,000 a credit. This school, no in-state requirement. It was $400 a credit when I started. Now it's just about under $500, but it was still a good deal.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to lie about, I was going to do CUNY, but I would have had to lie to get $500 a credit. And it just makes me really anxious. I'm always worried they're going to find out eventually. And then, before they give me my degree, say, oh, by the way, we found out that you were living in another state, and you owe us $28,000.
Kathy Britt wants to know, why does it have to end? Well, Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy. Good question.
Well, Kathy, it has to end because all good things must come to an end. And I want people to watch it. And they say that people won't listen or watch if it's over an hour. So,
oh, she's talking about the show? I thought she was talking about life. I thought she was asking a deeper question. I'm joking.
Like, why does life have to end?
Yes.
I don't know. Frank's the expert on that.
Maybe she was home and really depressed, and she was just like, why does it have to end? I don't want to stop. I would love to live forever. If I was to live forever, you know what I'd want to be? I want to come back because I live in my house in New Jersey is close to Springsteen land over in Rumson, where they have these huge mansions. I want to come back as like a skinny teenage girl with long hair from a rich family. That's what I want to come back as. They seem like they have everything. And then I want to live forever like that.
So, skinny teenage girl, why skinny?
What?
Why skinny?
They just seem like they have everything. They have no worries. They're in high school. Their parents have lots of money. They have long, straight hair, and they're the envy of everybody.
All right. I could see it.
That's what I'm coming. That's why I'm trying to grow my hair. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to grow.
Well, you should shave the beard.
I just realized I sound like I'm taking a different route in my life, but I'm not.
I do. I really like the gray.
Me too. I dyed it a while back, but I think the dye came out. I don't know what this is. I think that's from the olive oil that I put in it, but I like it. You know, this is me. This is something I wanted to do my whole life, was grow my hair long. And I remember when I started comedy, I had it was down to here, and some other comics said, you know, and I was very impressionable. I know it's not their fault, but he's like, you should cut your hair. This isn't rock and roll. People tell you strange things. I remember you see, Frank knows. I remember a more experienced comic telling me that comics shouldn't have beards because audiences don't trust people with a beard, you know? And I said, well, Carlin has a beard. And, oh, well, that's George Carlin. He can do whatever he wants. It's just so strange, the things we tell each other.
Exactly.
I try to go by what my old Al-Anon sponsor used to tell me. I don't know what other people need. And I try to remember that all the time when I want to tell them what to do.
Tell me what to do. I need to know. I need to know what you think I should do.
I have no idea. I think you should clean that counter off next to you, and you should have the door in the back closed and get rid of that box over on the other side. It's very distracting. You asked.
Does this bug you? No,
it doesn't bug me at all. I just was trying to be funny.
I got that. I know. This is where I see people, and one of my clients goes, wow, you got a mess back there. I'm like, yeah, this is me. I live my life. You come to me to solve your problems. My house looks like shit. It's fine.
My very first therapist experience when I was sober was this guy in Bayonne, and I saw him 3 or 4 times, and then I didn't hear from him for weeks. At the time, I was a cigarette smoker, and I was just sober, and I was trying to quit smoking, and he was a smoker. So finally, his wife calls me and apologizes and says he had a stroke.
Oh, my God.
And, it's going to be a few more weeks, and he's going to start seeing people. And I thought, oh, thank God, because this guy was a smoker. He had a stroke. Now he's going to stop smoking, and I'm going to stop smoking, and I'm going to have support. I go to his house. We go in the front door, out the back door, onto a bench in his backyard where he's got his ashtray and cigarettes, and the fucker is still smoking.
Holy shit.
I never went back to him because I thought, that is insane. The guy just had a stroke, and he's like, so how have you been? I haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was my introduction to therapy.
I'm glad, and you kept going back.
No, I stopped going back to him. I found somebody else.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we do have to end. So
I know you do. I'm sorry.
What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I apologize. I wish we could go.
Apologize. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I really did.
It was great having you on, man.
It was great being had, as they say.
All right, don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the Kathy has a lot of questions.
Who's
today.
Kathy? I can't see any of these questions. Are there people? Where are the people watching?
They're on Facebook.
Oh, now I see. I clicked on comments. Yes, I did, Kathy. 2003. I took the Wellbutrin and the patch.
There
I'm just
you
looking
go.
at her questions because I don't know her from a hole in the wall. She could be single for all I know.
She
She might be my type.
She was, when I first started comedy, she reached out to me, and she had I think, I don't know, we flirted back and forth, but it was and so she's probably mad at me for saying that, but I don't know.
She likes the gray. I'm reading all of her questions. Nice seeing you guys. Good for you. All right, we have that. LOL. She just laughed. I didn't know there was people on here. I mean, I knew that people watch it, but I didn't know they were on. They were commenting live.
Well, right now we have one viewer who is Kathy. We've had
Well, thank you, Kathy. You're viewing for everybody.
Kathy is holding it down. All right, thank you so much, man. It's good to see you. Hopefully, I'll run into you soon.
Yes, I will tell you. Maybe I don't know when, but you will.
All right, cool.
I will be seen. That's for damn sure.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Don't go anywhere, man.
I won't.
Test.
I'll be here.